With the trade deadline now all the way wrapped up, we have made it to the final stretch here in Season 2, and all hands are on deck for a playoff push. We've got a big month of August here to go through today, specifically this first series against the Arizona Diamondbacks, who are one of the many teams in contention with us for an NL wildcard spot. As it stands now, we're on the outside looking in, but we're certainly looking in. We're only 2.5 back of the third wildcard spot, which is currently held by San Diego. We had a busy trade deadline in the last episode, really focusing on making this team better for the immediate future. We added the flamethrower Mason Miller to the rotation. Scott Barlow is a solid veteran option for the bullpen. And then Cedric Mullins from the Orioles to give us another consistent position player. While Barlow and Mullins were acquired for cheap as expiring contracts, Miller costed us quite a bit more, being that he still has 4 years of additional team control. We gave the A's 2 strong prospects with Joe Whitman and Grant McCray, while the Orioles added to their system as well. But overall, I think our farm system's in a good spot, being that we were able to keep most of our really good prospects. There were plenty of other big moves around the rest of the league, such as Luis Arraez going to the Mariners, Nick Castellanos in Arizona, Ryan Mountcastle with the Minnesota Twins, and the biggest position player on the move, Luis Robert, going to the Phillies for a Godfather-esque package, going back to the White Sox. In terms of pitchers, guys like Tarek Skubal and Sandy Alcantara headlined the list of new faces in new places. Alcantara, of course, was a guy we almost traded for, but ultimately we couldn't get a deal done. In the last episode, I teased going over the ratings and potentials for our Season 2 draft class. But why don't we take a look now, shall we? Boom! Whoa! Look at this draft class for the San Francisco Giants. 4 players with at least 90 potential. Obviously, one of these sticks out compared to the rest. Tommy Rogers is pretty good. He is an 81 overall, off rip, with 99 potential. Folks, we have found our franchise player with Tommy Rogers, who looks unbelievable. When we drafted him, I said he had Bryce Harper-esque upside, and that appears to be the case. He checks all the boxes offensively. He's got 99 speed and looks like a monster. Along with him, guys like Warren Green and Rodney Bravo are really going to add to a strong pitching system that already features the current number 1 prospect in baseball in Scott Rios, although I would suspect his title at the top will likely be yanked at the beginning of the season by his future teammate Tommy Rogers. After that, our late picks were pretty good as well. For the 4th round, Eddie Duarte looks pretty solid with 86 potential. Noah Talley only has 80, but he is one of the more polished players in this class, despite being one of the youngest, being a 68 overall. And then last but not least, I was very high on our final pick, George Groniga. I really believed he was a steal for the 6th round, and I think we hit the nail on the head. He's only a 50 overall, but he's got 91 potential, which for round 6, sign me up. So overall, a fantastic haul here for the Giants. Obviously headlined by Tommy Rogers at the top, but he was not the only generational talent in this class, because Jeremy Franco with the White Sox, who was the player drafted directly after Rogers, isn't too much worse. He is a 99 potential, 79 overall first baseman, so he's a little bit worse as an all-around player than Rogers, which was the reason why we picked Rogers, but offensively he looks awesome. Caleb Mitchell was the other guy who I had in that same tier of prospects, and he's a little bit worse, but he looks awesome himself. 74 overall with 93 potential. Of course, none of these guys went number 1. That was Steven Tejada with the Mets. A lot of people really disagreed with the pick for New York, but I kind of understood it, being that he was so much cheaper to pay. And in terms of talent, he's really not that much worse than these guys. Let's take a look at the other classes around the league. The Orioles draft, I feel like, is kind of the perfect representation of what this class was with all the talent down the board. So many good players late. The Red Sox picking Todd Hernandez 3rd overall feels like one of the biggest fumbles in this draft. Hernandez looks pretty solid, but considering the next 2 players are both generational talents, ouch. The Yankees drafted a kid I really liked with Robbie Lester, but they couldn't sign him, and the rest of their class was pretty underwhelming. Pablo Rivera also a little bit worse than I expected. He still looks pretty solid. Ray Sixto, though, looks like a beast. 73 overall with 87 potential. And then obviously the White Sox did pretty well with Franco and Gordon. Anthony McKinnon, a first-rounder last year, didn't sign with Arizona, ends up in Chicago. The Guardians did solid. Again, their last pick was their best one with catcher Ray Romero. The Tigers did pretty solid. 2 A potentials down the board. Greg Gomez in Kansas City is a guy we're really intrigued by, and he looks the part. The Twins had kind of an underwhelming class. The Astros did as well, with the exception of Elvis Morales. The Angels, of course, picked Caleb Mitchell second overall, but after that, they didn't do too well. Oakland did solid. Seattle with a nice pick in the 4th round with center fielder Matthew Workman. The Rangers whiffed on their top pick, but made up for it with Rich Juarez. The Braves, I thought, had a really good draft. During the pre-draft process, I was not high on Darrell Wilson at all. And to be honest, I feel like I was wrong. Sure, he only has 72 potential, and he's going to peak as an 18-year-old, but those hitting stats look really good. He's going to be a high contributor right away as a rookie. Alejandro Reyes looks quite good. The Marlins had a deep class, no one really good, but some solid pieces, including Silas Yeager, a guy we liked. The Mets, going back to them with Steven Tejada, the reason why they drafted him was so they could have more money to sign their next few picks. It would have looked a lot better had their 2nd and 3rd round picks been good, which they're not, but they made up for it late. Blake Botts was a guy we really wanted, ultimately went a couple picks before us, and it looks like we're missing out. He looks like a pretty good player. I said that Aaron Luke was pretty much an identical player to that of Kyler Rodriguez's skill set, and I kind of see it. As for Otis O'Neill, he was a player we almost drafted in the 2nd round, ultimately opting for Warren Green. O'Neill's a little bit worse, but he also plays a harder position to find, so he couldn't have really gone wrong either way. The Cubs did really good with Brandon Crook and Avi Park. Crook was going to be our top target going into the 2nd round, but unfortunately, he was picked in the 1st round. And as for Avi Park, we were down to him, Green, and Otis O'Neill. Between the two pitchers, it looks like Park ends up being quite a bit better. He's 2 years younger, he's higher in rating, and he has higher potential. I still like Warren Green's skill set a little bit more, but Park looks like the better prospect. The Pirates did really well with 2 A potential second basemen, Cody Trevino and Russ Casado. Both of whom are a little bit older, but I really like Trevino's skill set in particular. I think he's going to be a good player at the top of the order. And then for a 2nd year in a row, the NL West killed it. The Diamondbacks drafted a really interesting player here with Thomas Noble, who only has 80 potential, but he's a 79 overall. I don't think I've ever seen this type of skill set in the game. Francisco Rodriguez is a guy who we wanted in the 3rd round, ultimately ends up here in Arizona. He looks pretty good. The Rockies only drafted pitchers, and it looks like it worked out. Claudio Gonzalez has 98 potential. Now, he's got a long ways to go for being a 21-year-old. He looks like a big-time strikeout artist, but the rest of his game could use a lot of work. Luis Gonzalez was another player we were hoping dropped into the 2nd round. He is with the Dodgers, and he looks really good. And then Stephen Kua was a guy we really liked in the 1st round. We kind of held him in the same reign as Steven Tejada, who obviously ended up being the number 1 pick. But Kua looks just as good, just has a little bit lower potential. Overall, though, we absolutely killed it here. As I've been saying throughout the entire draft process, this draft class is unbelievably loaded, and we ended up with at least 4 to 5 really, really good prospects to add to the system. And with that, our focus now is fully on the big league team as we focus on the playoff run. It'll be fun having Tommy Rogers here as soon as possibly next season, but he's not here yet. We got to focus on the guys we currently have. Kyle Harrison has just been taken off of the 60-day injured list, but he's still out for a week or two with the hand injury. Nonetheless, since he's off the injured list and on the roster, we have to send somebody down to AAA. And the roller coaster for Forrest Whitley switching between the majors and AAA will continue as he will be sent down to AAA Sacramento. That brings us into this series here against the Diamondbacks, and this is a pivotal one. Since the All-Star break, most of our series have been against teams in the wild card contention. Arizona no different. They are currently the number 2 wild card at 64-55. They're ahead of us by 3 games. If we were to theoretically sweep them, we would have the same record. So that would be a big deal. Even if we win 2 of these games, we can bring the gap between us and them to just 1 game. The Diamondbacks are going to be going with some youth here in this first game. 2 big-time prospects in their system will be debuting, with pitcher Yu-Min Lin getting his first career start. And then Drew Jones, the former number 2 overall pick in the 2022 draft, playing center field, batting leadoff for his big league debut. Jones is one of the best prospects in all of baseball, and he will face off against Keaton Winn, making his 4th start of the year. Winn, of course, did not make the team out of spring training, started the year in AAA, where he played really well before getting injured, but has bounced back, and through his first 3 big league starts, he's been really good with an ERA at 1.59. As that'll bring up Drew Jones, the 2nd overall pick a few years ago, and his first big league at bat looks to be a good one, as that gets by the diving glove of Soler into left field. It rolls to the wall, and it'll be a double for Drew Jones, the first career big league hit for the young outfielder. Probably the first of many here for Drew Jones. And with that, the Diamondbacks have a speedster aboard as he's now on third for Corbin Carroll, who pops it into the center. Jung-Hoo Lee is under it, but that should be more than enough room for Drew Jones to score, as the third of the plate is not in time. It's a successful sacrifice fly for Corbin Carroll, and the Arizona Diamondbacks are on the board. They lead it 1-0. Lourdes Gurriel Jr. rips it up the middle with 2 gone. Gets by the glove of Thairo Estrada for a single into center as Lee misses the throw. And Arizona gets another runner aboard. That'll bring up Nick Castellanos, acquired during the trade deadline from the Phillies. And he sends that one down the line and fair. Past the diving glove of Max Kepler. It'll roll all the way to the wall for a 2-out double. The runner will wisely hold up at third. And Arizona's continuing their really strong first inning with 2 runners in scoring position, 2 away for Gabriel Moreno, who goes down on the slider. A rare strikeout for Keaton Winn. He's only punched out 6, make it 7 after that one. Could have been a lot worse, as Arizona gets 1, but it feels like they could have done more, and we move to the bottom of the first. Yu-Min Lin, standing at 5'11", weighing at 160 pounds. The young 21-year-old lefty making his big league debut. He's got a 4-pitch mix, had a really strong season in AAA, and he retires to side to start his big league career, finished off by a strikeout of J.P. Crawford, and we move into the second. Emmanuel Rivera grounds this one to second. What a play by Thairo Estrada for the first out of the inning, showing off the leather. Following batter, Eugenio Suarez swings way too early at the fastball, and we move into the bottom of the second. Max Kepler beats the shift perfectly, but Rivera makes a great diving play. Throw to first is not in time. It's an infield hit for Max Kepler, first base runner of the game for the Giants, and they now have the man aboard. 2 away here for Blake Sabol. Kepler looking for second, and he is out of there. The idea was to put Kepler in scoring position because Blake Sabol is a lot better with runners in scoring position, especially considering he's facing off against the lefty. Problem is the plan didn't work. Top 3, Drew Jones' second at bat. Not quite as good as his first. It is a grounder to first. Santiago Espinal now up for the Diamondbacks, a player who we actually almost traded for last year, ultimately opting for J.P. Crawford. Obviously, in hindsight, that decision has proven to be a good one as he strikes out on the changeup. Bottom 3, Marco Luciano up for San Francisco. Sends it up the middle, but a nice play there by Yu-Min Lin for the second out of the inning. And Lin is continuing to dominate. I mean, he has been great so far. As Cedric Mullins sends it up the middle for a base knock. 108 off the bat. Just the second hit of the game for San Francisco as they get a runner aboard here. Mullins now digs for second. Won't matter as Lee breaks his bat. Grounder over to the pitcher. And that is 3 scoreless innings for Yu-Min Lin. And we move now into the fourth, as there's a swing and a drive in a deep left field by Castellanos. That'll go for a home run. And so that'll make it a 2-0 ball game. Castellanos with his 21st of the year to add to Arizona's lead. The reason why the Phillies traded him wasn't so much performance, but rather they needed to clear up money and a spot in the outfield to trade for Luis Robert. So Castellanos was kind of the odd man out. Ends up here in Arizona, where he is now playing first base full-time, thanks to the departure of Christian Walker last offseason, who signed with the Phillies. A weird continuous cycle. Emmanuel Rivera grounds out to short, but the Diamondbacks do add another run here with the homer by Castellanos as we move into the bottom of the fourth. Jorge Soler, second in baseball in home runs this year, draws a walk. And San Francisco opens up the inning with a runner. J.P. Crawford sends that one over the glove of the second baseman, and that one will go for a base hit. Nobody hits the ball better with runners on base this year than J.P. Crawford, continuing to do it here. Jonathan India quietly having a great season, second on the team in WAR. Singles into left. Soler holds up at third. And, oh God, you guys know what that means. The bases are loaded. There's nobody out, though. You gotta capitalize here, right? There's no possible way the Giants can screw this up. Well, that's not a good start. Kepler goes down looking on the slider. And now, screwing up feels a lot more possible. Thairo Estrada sends a liner into right center. That one will be caught. Should be plenty of room for Soler to score. The other runner will make it to third. That's Crawford. He is safe. It's a sacrifice fly for Thairo Estrada. And it is now 2-1 with runners on the corners for Blake Sabol, who sends that one foul into right field. Just barely. Would have brought in at least the one run, maybe another. 1-2 for Sabol. He bloops it into left center, and that'll drop for a hit. Crawford scores. It's an RBI single for Blake Sabol, and the San Francisco Giants tie it at 2. Big at bat here for Marco Luciano. He's had 3-1. Flies it into center. Should be caught, though, by Jones. And it will. When you start the inning with the bases loaded, I feel like you'll want more than 2 runs. But, considering our track record with the bases loaded, this inning will go down as a win. Into the 5th, here's the speedster Jordan Lawler. Pops it into center. Lee charges after it, and he cannot make the play. I think he overthought it, tried to go for the dive when he really didn't need to. A boneheaded play in the outfield by Jung-Hoo Lee. You rarely see a mistake out of him, and it'll be scored as a triple for the speedster Jordan Lawler. Drew Jones looks to drive him in, grounder up the middle. Crawford makes the play, but the defensive miscue in center by Lee will result in the run scoring. I'm sure the comments will be very civil about that play. I'm sure. Santiago Espinal, the grounder to first. Kepler scoops it up. And that'll be it for Keaton Winn's night overall. Not his best start, considering he's only let up 3 runs all season. He doubles his total, but was still fairly solid as we move into the bottom of the 5th. Cedric Mullins leads things off of a walk. The Giants' offense looking night and day different from the first 3 innings to now, and they're going to keep it rolling. Jung-Hoo Lee looks to make up for his defensive mistake, and he will do so with a 68-mile-per-hour double. It's an unconventional way to do it, but it'll work. 2 runners in scoring position, nobody out. I'm a little bit surprised they're keeping Lynn in the game, being that he's a lefty, and facing off against Jorge Soler, as he hits this one hard and deep into center, near the wall. It's caught by Jones, but that'll score in Mullins as a sacrifice. Lee barely safe at third with a quick tag by Emmanuel Rivera. And with the sacrifice fly, this game is tied up at 3. And with that, Yu-Min Lin's day is done. 4 1/3 innings with 3 earned runs so far. But still, if you're a Diamondback fan, you got to feel pleased because he looked awesome through the first 3 innings. And he'll be replaced by the veteran righty Corbin Martin, who has not had a very good season, with an ERA here at 6.19. Martin, once upon a time, was a pretty highly regarded prospect. He's found a home here in the Arizona bullpen, but hasn't really lived up to the hype. With the runner on third, Crawford sharply grounds it to first. Castellanos makes the play, but Jung-Hoo Lee will score, and San Francisco leads for the first time tonight. It's 4-3. Jonathan India strikes out. That'll do it for the 5th. San Francisco adds 2 more and finds themselves up by 1 as we move into the 6th. The righty, Tyler Rogers, is into the game. Hasn't been as good as his twin brother this season, but hasn't been completely horrible with an ERA at 4.45. With 2 away, Castellanos blows one right by his head for a single into center. Considering Castellanos homered, something bad has to happen, and it nearly was Tyler Rogers getting decapitated mid-game. Gabriel Moreno joins the hit parade as he singles into center. Castellanos holds up at second, and with that, we've got 2 on, 2 away. Big opportunity here for Emmanuel Rivera, 3-1. And wow, that was a close one. It looked out of the zone, but ultimately called strike 2. So Tyler Rogers gets a lucky call. Will he capitalize? No, as Rivera draws a walk and the bases are loaded. From there, Rogers will be replaced by the lefty A.J. Minter, who started the year off slowly, but has really played a lot better over the last couple of months. Full count here for Eugenio Suarez with the bases loaded. 2 away. Draws another walk as the cutter is low. That'll score Castellanos as the Diamondbacks walk and a run. Bases still loaded for Jordan Lawler. Grounds it over to short. Crawford over to first. And Arizona leaves them loaded, but they do add a run to tie the game, knotted up at 4, As we go bottom 6, Max Kepler starts things off strong, hits it well into center, thinks about extra bases, makes it almost halfway through, but he will wisely retreat back to first for a leadoff single. Thairo Estrada up the middle, right over to short for a 6-4-3 double play. So much for that, I suppose, as the Diamondbacks turn 2 and we move into the 7th. Minter still in the ball game as he strikes out Drew Jones on the cutter after the leadoff double. Jones has certainly been quieter since, as Santiago Espinal strikes out as well. Another good pitch from Minter, looking to retire this side as Carroll flies it into left. Soler is under it. He will make the grab. And through the middle of the 7th, we've got ourselves a ball game tied at 4. Let's move bottom 7 now. We'll see if San Francisco can look to take this lead back as Lamont Wade comes in off the bench, leading things off up the middle for a base knock. Wade has been pretty solid since returning to the big leagues after his long stint in AAA. And so he is aboard. Full count here for Jung-Hoo Lee. That one is sent over the glove of the shortstop for a base hit. Wade looks to head for third. The throw from Gurriel in left is not in time. It looked like he very clearly was going to be out, but did he just dodge the tag? I don't know. Nonetheless, he's on base now for Jorge Soler, who strikes out on the circle change, and he is livid. 2 on, 2 away now for J.P. Crawford. Again, he lives for these moments. Lines it well into right, and it is caught by Corbin Carroll. If that was anybody else in right field, that ball probably drops, but because Carroll is so fast, he'll make the play, and thus this game is still tied at 4 as we move into the 8th. Scott Barlow, the trade deadline acquisition, is in out of the bullpen for San Francisco. So far, so good in the couple of innings he has pitched for the Giants so far, as Castellanos bloops it into center. Lee is going to look to be careful diving-wise, but he won't get to it in time anyway. It's a bloop hit for Castellanos. He's aboard here with 1 away, and we'll see if Arizona can look to take the lead back. As with this game really coming down to it, somebody's got to take charge soon. Now with the base runner, could that be the Diamondbacks? Gabriel Moreno, the 1-2. Got him looking on the fastball. Huge strikeout for Barlow. We'll see if he gets out of the inning here with Emmanuel Rivera, the 1-2. Swing and a miss on the slurve. Scott Barlow with back-to-back strikeouts through the top of the 8th. Game still tied at 4. And Scotty B is fired up as we go to the bottom of the 8th. Steven Wilson is in for Arizona. He's had a decent year out of the bullpen, 3.8 ERA and just shy of 69. Nice. Innings thrown this year. He'll face off against Max Kepler with base hits in each of his last 2 at-bats, looking to add another as it goes off of Wilson's leg. And he will make the throw. Right place at the right time, I guess, deflecting the ball. He's a little bit banged up, but he will stay in the game. Thairo Estrada, the 1-2, with a weak dribbler to third. Rivera fields it cleanly, makes the play. Throw over to first is in time. And through 8, this game is still tied at 4. We move into the 9th. The lefty, Taylor Rogers, is in for San Francisco. Certainly has had a better season than his brother with the ERA at 1.82. Taylor and Tyler have no relations to Tommy Rogers, just so we get that cleared up before next year. As Eugenio Suarez strikes out on the cutter. Nice pitch by Rogers to start the inning. Geraldo Perdomo comes in off the bench. It goes off of Rogers' glove. India scoops it up. Barehanded throw is not in time. Good effort by the Giants defense, but it's an infield single off the bench for Geraldo Perdomo. Drew Jones goes down looking on the slurve. He does not think so, but ultimately it is a called strike 3. That'll bring up Santiago Espinal now, the 1-1. Up the middle, Rogers makes the play. Throw to first, in time. And we are tied at 4 still. Going into the bottom of the 9th with the back end of the order. 7, 8, 9 due up for the Giants as they look to finish it off. And it'll be against Ryan Thompson coming out of the bullpen for the Diamondbacks. 4.44 ERA this year. That's a lot of 4s. And we'll see if San Francisco can look to close the door before extra innings as Blake Sabol leads things off. And this one is grounded past the diving glove of Castellanos. And with that, the Giants lead off the inning with the potential winning run. No need for a pinch runner here. Blake Sabol for a catcher is really fast. So he's going to stay on base as the potential winning run. Lamont Wade, base hit off the bench earlier, looking for another! Crushes it into right. If it's fair, it's gone! And it's just barely foul. Would have gone for the win. Would have also been his first big league home run of the entire season. A lucky break for Arizona. This will keep the game alive, but Wade shoots it down the opposite field line. That could go for extra bases. Sabol, the winning run, will be held at third. No reason to send him with nobody out. And now if Cedric Mullins just puts this ball solidly in play, this game should be over. We'll see if Mullins can be the hero. Count is even here at 2-2. If they get him out, I think you're looking at intentionally walking Jun-Hoo Lee to bring up Soler. But there will be no need for that! Mullins hits it well into left, and that'll do it. A walk-off single for Cedric Mullins, driving in Blake Sabol as the Giants take game one of the three-game set here against the Diamondbacks, and doing so in walk-off fashion, winning it 5-4. It's Cedric Mullins, the new kid on the block, who ends up as the hero. Now, the interesting thing about this is that both of the runners were going as soon as Mullins hit it. That was the game doing that. That wasn't me. I thought there was a chance Gurriel was going to catch the ball. So when I saw Sabol in particular running, I kind of panicked a little bit. But luckily, Gurriel didn't catch the ball. They were able to score. It's all good. And the Giants win the first here against Arizona. Hopefully a momentum boost to help us win the next two of this series. Possibly look for the sweep. And hopefully we can continue to do well after that. The Diamondbacks offense just really did not get enough going in spurts. They had a great game from Castellanos, who had 4 hits, went for a homer, but he didn't have enough help around him. Yu-Min Lin was great through 3 innings, really fell apart after that. Bullpen for the Diamondbacks was good, though, until the end. As for us, multi-hit games from Lee, Kepler, Sabol, Wade, and Mullins. The last 3 ended up leading us in the last inning, with Sabol being the winning run and Mullins driving him in. Solid start from Keaton Winn. The bullpen was pretty good. All in all, a solid win here for the San Francisco Giants, taking the first of 3 against Arizona, and we'll see if we can add to that. We're now only 2 back of Arizona, and thus we're only 2 back of the last wild card spot. Along with getting through this Diamondback series, we'll simulate through this 3-game set on the road at Yankee Stadium against Giants legend Aaron Judge, the brother of Arson Judge and the New York Yankees. So Marco Luciano would pull his hamstring. He'll be out for a week or 2. And we're going to call up Trevor Larnach. He's had a good year in AAA. I want to give him a shot in the big leagues. So he'll be up for the next week or so. We're going to stop in front of this Yankees series because we ended up sweeping Arizona. I didn't think we'd actually do it, but there we go. We win 6-1 in the second game. Jorge Soler goes deep again. Mason Miller with an excellent start. And then the next game, we won 3-4, scoring all 4 of our runs in the third. Jonathan India drove in 3 with a strong start from Blake Snell. So with that, we have the same record as Arizona, and we are tied with the Diamondbacks and the Brewers for the final wild card spot in the NL. We've got a lot of struggling teams here. The Phillies have lost 11 in a row. They still haven't won since trading for Luis Robert, while the Diamondbacks and Padres are also on pretty long losing streaks. Hopefully their losing streaks continue while our momentum boost continues here against the New York Yankees. Well, that did not end up happening. We got swept. The offense did not show up. We scored 4 runs in those 3 games, and all the ground we made up in the series against Arizona is gone. The Diamondbacks keep losing. It's not them who has passed us. It's Milwaukee, who is now the 3rd wild card. They ended up sweeping their opponent. And now we've got a huge series upcoming on the road, a little East Coast trip, as we start with the Atlanta Braves. We're going to play the second game, so we'll simulate through the first one. And we're up 5-4 in the bottom of the 9th with nobody out. Camilo Doval looking to shut the door for good as he faces off against the catcher Sean Murphy. Grounded to third. Gets by India for a base hit. Tying run is at second. Winning run is at first. With nobody out, can the Braves finish the job? Jared Kelenic is up for Atlanta. He's behind 1-2. Grounds it to first. This could be 2. Kepler tags the base. They'll get the 1 out. And now there's runners in scoring position. Base hit theoretically ends the game. And guess who's up? It's Ronald Acuna Jr. And we want no part of this. Since it's a 1-run game and the winning run is at second, Ronald Acuna as a base runner doesn't really matter. So we're going to walk him, and we're going to take our chances with the next hitter being Michael Harris, who's obviously no slouch, but he's also no Ronald Acuna. The 1-1. Harris puts it on the ground. This could do it. Crawford over to short. Why is Jorge Soler playing short? He didn't make the throw over to first, and the game will continue. MLB the Show often has some weird player position switches, but why is Jorge Soler at short? Especially considering that Thairo Estrada is literally in the outfield. Thanks, San Diego Studios. You might have just costed us the game. So it is now tied at 5. Atlanta scored the run off of what should have been a game-ending double play. Now Matt Olson will look to finish it off, and it looks like he won't. He hits it well into center. It is caught by Jun-Hoo Lee. We'll see if we get an opportunity to win or not lose the game here in the top of the 10th. And we'll go bottom 10. The offense blew it in the top half of the inning. So now here in the bottom of the half, there's 2 on, 1 away. Jose Leclerc is now in the game on the mound. And he will start things off with Ozuna from the Braves. If you know, you know. Marcell Ozuna goes down looking on the circle change. That's a big out for Leclerc and the Giants. 2 gone now for Zach McKinstry. He's had a good year, hitting .313. Sends it in the right center gap. It could be close. Lee charges after it. Will make the play. I feel like Mullins was closer to that ball. He should have been the one to go after it, but we caught it. That's what matters. And we'll move into the 11th. Well, ultimately, Caleb Hamilton would walk it off with a 2-run shot for the Braves, and they win at 7-5. So our offense completely wet the bed, not scoring in either extra inning, and Hamilton, who came off the bench, ends up as the hero. So now we have lost 4 in a row after our win streak against Arizona, and we've got to get it together here in this second game against the Braves. Our record has fallen to 64-62, and with how competitive the National League is, even though seemingly every team in the wild card race has shot themselves in the foot over the last week or so, it's still a very competitive league, and you need all the wins you can get, especially against a good team here, such as Atlanta. Chris Bassett will be getting the start for the Braves. He was acquired at the deadline from Toronto in exchange for Drew Hackenberg, who's a pretty good prospect, a fringe top 100 guy, especially considering Bassett is a rental, and Bassett is really old. But the Braves feel like they've got a team who can take it all the way, and Bassett could be one of their missing pieces. Against former Brave Jorge Soler, the 2021 World Series MVP with Atlanta, pops it into left center. It is caught. A 1-2-3 inning for Bassett. And we'll go to the bottom of the first. We'll take a look at the NL Cy Young favorite as of right now, Blake Snell, who's had a phenomenal season. He has passed up the previous favorite, Nick Lodolo, with the Reds, who suffered an injury. So it's now Snell's award to lose, looking for his 3rd Cy Young, which puts him in a short group of all-time elite pitchers as he strikes out Orlando Arcia on the inside curveball. Now against one of the best in the game, Ronald Acuna, who's behind 1-2. And he hits it well over to short. Crawford makes the play. Throw to first is in time. A 1-2-3 frame for Blake Snell. Neither team with a base runner through 1. And we'll see if either offense can get something going here in the second. J.P. Crawford leads things off for the Giants. He sends this one into the gap in right center, and that should go for extra bases. It'll roll to the wall, and it'll be a leadoff double. So Crawford is aboard in scoring position, and we'll see if the Giants can bring him in. Usually it's the other way around. Crawford driving guys in, but now we'll see if Blake Sabol can make a big play here. Count is 2-2 with 2 away. Sabol hits it well into left for a hit, and Crawford will be held up at third. Pretty easy decision. Sabol hit the ball too hard to where Crawford would have been out by a mile. 2 on, 2 away for Trevor Larnach. Just his second at bat of the season, and it's a grounder to first. Olsen makes the play. So the Giants get 2 runners on the corners. Don't drive either of them in as we go bottom 2. Matt Olson hits it well into left. A leadoff single for Atlanta. Olsen had a tremendous season offensively last year, winning the NL's MVP. Hasn't been as good this year, but, I mean, he had damn near a WAR of 10 as a first baseman last year. Austin Riley strikes out. Second of the game for Snell. Runner on, 2-2, 2 away for Sean Murphy, who chases the curveball. 2 pretty strong innings from Blake Snell. We're seeing the swing and miss stuff early with him. A big reason why he leads for the NL Cy Young. As we go into the third, Jun-Hoo Lee grounds it to second. Ozzie Albies deflects it, but there will be no throw to first. An infield single for Lee, and so he is aboard with 1 away. That'll bring up Jorge Soler, who is ahead in the count 3-1. And he checks his swing. The umpire says he did not go around. Soler, of course, won the Home Run Derby here in Atlanta last month during the All-Star break. put up a show for the Braves crowd. First and second, 1-2 for Crawford, and he swings and misses at the outside sinker. That was not his pitch. Right as I've been gassing him up, too. And Bassett gets out of another jam. He lets up 2 more base runners, but ultimately nobody scores. Bassett's allowed a lot of base runners and has been able to get through. As for Blake Snell, it's been the opposite. He's only allowed the 1 hit so far. As Ozzie Albies goes down on the high fastball. Another punch out for Snell, who looks dominant through 3. It's still early, though, and when this Atlanta offense gets hot, they can really make some noise. But Snell is looking great up to this point as we go into the 4th. Lamont Wade up the middle. Albies cannot make the play. It's a leadoff single for Lamont Wade, who continues to be a lot more productive now than he was back in April. Jonathan India bloops this one into right, and that will drop for a hit. Wade looks to head for third. The throw from Acuna is in time! Part-time ball player, full-time sniper. Do not mess with the arm of Ronald Acuna. Blake Sabol now lines this one into left center. It's got some carry. At the track, at the wall, it is gone into the bullpen. 2-run homer for Blake Sabol. Would have been a 3-run if Wade didn't go for third. But nonetheless, the Giants strike first as Sabol goes deep for a 13th time this year. We gave Sabol a ton of love for the year that he had last year, really breaking out. And this year, he's mostly replicated his success. He has been tremendous again. Trevor Larnach is now up here for the Giants, ahead 3-1. Draws a walk. That's a tough pitch to lay off when you're ahead, looking to be aggressive, but Larnach will take it for ball 4. And so that'll bring up Joey Gallo. This ball goes a mile into the air, a 43-degree launch angle. Does it have the carry, though? At the track, at the wall, it is gone! A 2-run home run for Joey Gallo, his 15th of the year. That ball was in the air for about an hour, but it does make it over the fence. And the Giants now lead 4-0. That'll bring up Jun-Hoo Lee, still with only 1 out, by the way. And the 1 out was from Wade tagging up. This one is sent into the opposite field. It could go for extra bases, and it will be a double. I have no clue how Chris Bassett is still in the game right now because he is getting rocked. The first 6 batters of the inning have all reached base. 2 away now for Jorge Soler. Swings at a pitch he absolutely should not have. Riley makes the play. Throw to first is in time. But a big inning for San Francisco as they score 4 with a pair of 2-run shots for Sabol and Gallo. Bottom 4, Arcia hits that one off of the foul wall, and because of that, he only ends up with a single. But still, progress, considering Atlanta only had 1 hit before that. Matt Olson now with 1 away. Hits it well into center, his 2nd hit of the game. And the Braves get another runner. Arcia is looking for third, though. The throw is in time! Quick tag by Gallo. Good defense in center from Lee, and a nice relay throw by Crawford. As Austin Riley pops it into right, caught by Mullins. That's 4 scoreless innings for Blake Snell. This inning wasn't quite as good, allowing the 2 base runners, but still, you'll take 4 scoreless against Atlanta. Into the 5th now, Frankie Montas, the long reliever, is in. Montas was the 5th starter before Bassett came around. I'm not really sure why they held such a long leash on him because he's been really bad this year with an ERA in the 7s. But he does strike out J.P. Crawford to start things off. Lamont Wade now, 1 away, 2-2. Wade hits that one past Albies for a single into right. Another hit for San Francisco. The offense is quickly chugging along after a slow start. Jonathan India now sends that one by the diving glove of Matt Olson. That'll go for a hit. And the offense will just keep on coming. No Diddy or Giddy. Blake Sabol gets that one to third. Riley misses the tag. Gets the 1 out at second, but only 1. Could have easily gotten the double play had he either successfully completed the tag or just made the throw to second. Got to give Lamont Wade a ton of credit. Smart base running to avoid the tag, and because of that, he will end up scoring. Trevor Larnach drives him in with an RBI single, and it is now a 5-0 San Francisco lead. Joey Gallo now up for the Giants. The 1-2. Swinging a miss on the fastball. But a good inning vote for San Francisco. They add to their lead. It's 5-0 as we go bottom 5. Marcell Ozuna up for Atlanta. This one is hit into the gap. Can Lee make the play? He will not. It'll make it to the wall. Lee misplays it again. I don't think that'll really change anything this time. It's still a double for Marcell Ozuna. And he finds himself in scoring position with nobody out. Sean Murphy is now up for Atlanta. The 2-2. Swinging a miss on the circle change. Good pitch there by Snell, his 5th K of the day. Adam Duvall now pops it into center. Lee is just going to stop. That was the controller. That was not me. Duvall's going to make it to second for a double. Lee is hesitating where to throw the ball to. I don't get what's going on with Jun-Hoo Lee in center field. He's normally a great defensive player, but he's lost it here today. 2 runners in scoring position here for Fletcher, and he goes down looking on the circle change. Huge pitch by Blake Snell. We'll see if he can get out of this jam. Ozzie Albies, the top of the order, pops it up. He was ahead 3-1, too. He should have been looking for his pitch, but he sends it behind the plate. Sabol makes the play. Wasn't a perfect inning from the pitching or the defense, but that's now 5 scoreless from Blake Snell as we move into the 6th. Jun-Hoo Lee again looking to make up for his defensive mistakes, and I guess he does. He draws a walk, so he will start the inning off as the leadoff runner, and that'll bring up Jorge Soler. 3-1, grounds it past the glove of Austin Riley for a base hit, and the base runners are just going to continue to pile on. San Francisco's offense has been unbelievable over these last few innings, just stacking them left and right. J.P. Crawford now rips it into the gap. It's got some carry, and that one will one-hop off the wall. 1 run scores. Soler looks to join. He is safe. It's a 2-run double for J.P. Crawford, and the San Francisco Giants lead it 7-0 on the road here in Atlanta. Montas will be yanked. He'll be replaced by Joe Jimenez, who's been pretty good this year, a lot better than Montas, with an ERA at 2.77. He'll face off against Lamont Wade with hits in each of his last 2 at-bats, looking for the hat trick, and he'll get it. Single into right. Runner Crawford holds up at third, and now there's runners on the corners. San Francisco may have the big lead, but they are not satisfied, clearly. Jonathan India is now up for the Giants with the runners on the corners, and he puts this one right on the ground. Should be 2. And it will. Still a pretty good inning for the San Francisco Giants as J.P. Crawford drives in 2, and it's now 7-0 as we go to the bottom of the 6th. Orlando Arcia leads off the inning. He hits it well into right. Mullins will track it down at the wall. Great play there by Mullins. It's nice having a really good defensive player in right field. One of the big pros of acquiring him as Ronald Acuna draws a walk. That'll bring up Matt Olson, who launches this one into right field. There hasn't been many positives for Atlanta, but Matt Olson's certainly been one of them. He's got 3 hits now, including another home run, 111 feet off the bat, his 33rd of the year. And that'll do it here for Blake Snell, who has been remarkably good today when not facing off against Matt Olson. But his day is done, partly because we've got all this run support. If this game was tied at 2, I think we would have tried to stick it out with Snell for the rest of the inning. But since we're up by 5, I feel like it makes more sense to play it safe, not try to risk any crazy inning with keeping him in the game. And he'll be replaced by the righty Scott Barlow, who's had a much bigger workload here than he has with the Mets, but he's been highly productive. Against Marcell Ozuna, the 2-2. Swinging a miss! Ozuna will drive back to the dugout, hopefully not illegally. He knows a thing or two about that. And we move top 7. Jimenez still in the game. 3-2 for Estrada. He'll pop this one up into foul territory. Looks like a 1-2-3 inning for Joe Jimenez as it will be caught by Matt Olson. Let's move into the bottom of the 7th. Barlow's still in against Adam Duvall, who will look at that slider for ball 4. David Fletcher now, the 2-1, hits it into center for a hit. And with Barlow having pitched much of the last inning, you got to wonder if it makes sense to take him out now. Runner makes it over to third. And indeed, that'll be it for Scott Barlow. He'll be replaced by Taylor Rogers, who continues to get that ERA lower and lower and lower, as it's now at 1.65. Runners on the corners, 1 away for Ozzie Albies. He's going to fly this one into foul territory. And if you're Mullins, do you catch it or do you drop it? He's ultimately going to catch it, knowing that the run probably scores off the sacrifice. It does. But I think getting that second out is going to be more important, given that we already have a pretty nice lead. If this game was tied, I think you let that ball go, but given the situation, catch it and let the run score. Arcia, grounder over to second. Jonathan India makes the play. Throw to first is in time. The Braves had a run here, but they still trail by 4. It's at 7-3, and we move into the 8th. We'll see if San Francisco can hold on to their lead, as it will be Kenley Jansen in for Atlanta. Jansen has bounced around a few different places, including the Braves twice over the last couple of years, but not the same guy he once was. The ERA is in the mid-5s. against Jun-Hoo Lee. Launches it into right field. 113 off the bat. A liner for Lee. It felt like that ball barely got off the ground, but he hit it so hard, it doesn't matter. Another home run for Lee, his 16th of the year, coming off a year last year where he only had 12. The power, as we've talked about with Lee, has certainly improved. A big reason why he's been able to take a leap from last year to this year, and it is now 8-3. Mullins has been quiet. He's 0 for 4. Hasn't mattered with how the rest of the offense plays, but he crushes it into right, off the foul pole, and the Giants go back-to-back. Mullins goes deep for a 12th time this year, his third home run with the Giants, and it's now 9-3, and guess who has a chance to make it 3 in a row? It's Jorge Soler. And this could be another one. It is hit high and deep in the center. At the track, at the wall, it is caught. Adam Duvall is under it. I don't know why they have Duvall in center over Michael Harris. We'll roll with it. So unsurprisingly, Kenley Jansen is yanked as soon as possible for Atlanta. He'll be replaced by the lefty Aaron Bummer, coming off a bummer of a performance on the mound, really from this entire Braves pitching staff. As Lamont Wade looks for another hit, and he'll get it. Singles into right, his 4th base knock of the game. And San Francisco's offense continues to just pour it on. Jonathan India, 1-1. Swings at a pitch he shouldn't have. Grounder to short. Arcia flips it over to Ozzie Albies. As it's still 9-3, and we will move into the bottom of the 8th. A.J. Minter, the former Brave, returns to Atlanta for the first time in his career, getting a warm ovation from the Braves crowd. Had a lot of good seasons in Atlanta, including being a big part of the bullpen that won the 2021 World Series. As Olsen grounds it to second. India, what a play, but the problem is everybody is safe. So now there's 2 runners aboard here for Marcell Ozuna, and he sends that one down the line and fair. That'll score the run as Ozuna will grab an RBI double. It's 9-4. Atlanta looking to try to get themselves a miracle, and I guess this is one way to start. They've got to drive these 2 runners in, though. 2-2 for Duvall. Hits it over to third well, but Estrada makes the play. Throw to first is in time, and the lead will stay at 5. So let's go into the bottom of the 9th now. Jose Leclerc is in to finish things off for the Giants. If this inning goes anything like the rest of Leclerc's season, then Atlanta could be in for a comeback. Or not, as Acuna strikes out. Giants win it 9-4 off the backs of a pretty good start from Blake Snell and an unbelievable team performance offensively. It's kind of weird. I feel like the games that I play at home, our offense doesn't do well. We hit for no power. And then games on the road, we mash the ball. And I get that Oracle Park is more of a pitcher's-friendly ballpark. But still, I feel like it's so extreme. 4 hits for Wade, 3 for Lee, a number of guys with 2. Lee, Mullins, Sable, and Gallo all go deep, while Blake Snell with a solid start, 5 scoreless, before letting up the 2-run shot by Matt Olson, who really was the only positive here for Atlanta, going 3 for 4 with the lawn bomb, driving in 2. Chris Bassett started off well, but fell apart in the 4th. Frankie Montas was not good either. Good way to wrap up the losing streak with a win there in Atlanta. And that'll bring us back up to 65-62. And hopefully we'll win that last game against Atlanta as we continue to look to catch up in the wild card standings after getting swept in the previous series by the Yankees. So we're going to get through a large chunk of the remainder of August, playing this last game against Atlanta, then 3 more on the road, still in the East Coast in Baltimore, with an unserious group of starting pitchers. Dean Kremer, Cionel Perez, and Giants legend Spencer Howard. It really has been a rough year for the Orioles, and that's followed by 3 games at home against the Marlins. Kyle Harrison is back healthy, while Blake Snell is back atop the Cy Young list. And since we already sent somebody down earlier for Harrison, we're not going to have to make any more roster moves. As for Snell, he currently sits ahead of Zach Wheeler and Freddie Peralta atop the Cy Young list. So putting Harrison back in the rotation, I think we're going to keep Wisenhunt with the starters. He's younger than Keaton Winn. He's got more long-term upside, and he's been pretty good this year. Let's hop into this last game here against Atlanta. We're up 4-1 in the 9th. J.P. Crawford's 4 for 4 with 2 homers. As Estrada looks for third, he is safe. But Crawford finds himself down 0-2 early here in the rain. And he will swing and miss at the slur. The 3-pitch strikeout from Aaron Bummer. But the Giants will win this game 4-1 and thus win this series against the Braves with a really good start by Michael Lorenzen, which is nice to see because Lorenzen has not performed well as of recent. Marco Luciano is now healthy, thus Trevor Larnach will return to the minor leagues. We're going to jump all the way to the end of this series against the Marlins. So we've gone through 5 games since. We ended up going 3-2. We lost the first 2 of 3 in Baltimore, but since then we've won 3 in a row, winning the last game against the Orioles and then taking the first 2 against the Marlins, looking for the sweep. And we're in quite the interesting spot here. Tied at 3, bottom of the 8th inning, 2 outs, and Jesus Christ, the bases are loaded. Jonathan India's up. I feel like he's been one of the best clutch hitters on this team this year. He grounds it over to second. Kevin Newman makes the play, and shocker, shocker, the Giants leave the bases loaded as JT Chargois is fired up, and we will move into the 9th. So the Marlins were able to get some early base runners aboard. Ben Rice is at first. Jesus Sanchez, the potential winning run, is at second. The Giants now have 3 errors, by the way, including 1 here in the 9th. Keaton Wynn's been pitching the last couple of innings, but we need our back-end guys to save us. And it'll be Taylor Rogers who comes out of the bullpen here for the Giants. 1.61 ERA on the season. He'll start things off here with the top of the order. Kevin Newman up for the Fish. 1-1. Pops it into foul territory. That's a good start, as Kepler is under it. And now Miami's going to need a big hit here from Brian De La Cruz, who's hit a number of big hits on this channel within the last year or so. Here's another. It gets by the diving glove of Kepler. Sanchez looks to score. The throw from Mullins is not in time, and the Marlins take the lead. Brian De La Cruz drives in Jesus Sanchez to put Miami ahead. Normally that's a sentence I'd be happy to say, but not anymore. Jazz Chisholm now goes down looking on the sinker. So the Giants only let up 1, but still, they trail after the base hit by De La Cruz. Into the bottom of the 9th now. Luciano reaches base off of a walk against Huascar Brazoban, who will face off against the potential winning run, Blake Sable. First pitch, up the middle, right to Newman. This could be 2. And it is! A double play, 4-6-3. Blake Sable's going to be kicking himself after that one. We'll see if Brazoban can get through the rest of the inning unharmed as Mullins goes down on the slider, and that'll do it. Marlins win it 4-3. They avoid the sweep here against the Giants, taking the last game. Also, Dom Smith looks like Woody Landry's identical twin. I can't be the only one who sees it. Well, there are 3 errors. 2 of them were by Max Kepler, the other by Mullins. And ultimately, our defensive miscues might have costed us the game. So with that, we sit at 69 and 65. We've had some good performances and some bad ones. Kyle Harrison's first start back was a bad one, not just from him, but also the offense. But we certainly rebounded. We scored 9 in this game against Miami. Lee and Mullins go deep with a solid start by Snell, who's still in first for the Cy Young. We then won this game 5-8. This time it was India and Sable who went deep. India with a grand slam in the 7th, followed by an okay start by Lorenzen. Good enough to get the win, I guess. We're second place in the division, 69 and 65, and we are currently in the playoffs. We are tied with the Cardinals for the last wild card spot. The Diamondbacks are right behind us, though, by half a game. San Diego's only 2.5 behind us, and we've got a really tough schedule here to end the year. We play the Rockies, but then after that, everybody else left is good. The Padres are obviously in the midst of a playoff race, as is the Diamondbacks. We play them quite a bit. We also have the Rangers, Mariners, Reds twice, and Dodgers, who are all playoff teams in their respective leagues. So we are going to be in for a challenge over these next 2 episodes as we look to wrap up the regular season. Hope everybody enjoyed this one. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new. Peace out.